Alright, so here we are, going to see about temporarily putting my 1660 Super, where the 3060 was, onto this board, because there's no actual reason why I can't use that board anymore. So the only reason I was going to use a different board with these three cards was because of PCI Express, or lack of PCI Express version 3, because this board only goes up to version 2. But that's not really a thing now. So I'm just, as an experiment, I'm just going to plug my 4-way splitter into this board and see if we can get 3 cards working off this one. So let's get to it. Oh, the only thing is power. Oh no, I think I'm out of power plugs on this. I need a splitter. There's some catch that I can't remember. I'll see if we can shuffle it all around. See. There we go. Alright. Look at that. They use a metal back plate. They've got no thermal pads between the metal back plate and the PCB. They could have. That's pretty hot. It's on my to-do list. I'm just not going to do it now. I don't have time. Yeah, it's starting to get a little bit dirty, but should be right for now. Alright. What's this one doing? Turn off. What course is it? Just plugging the keyboard mouse screen into this guy, so we need to get control of that. Close off the miners. Another riser card. Chuck that on. Alrighty. Should be pretty quick and easy, hopefully. Just looking on there, you can't actually see 1, 2, 3, 4. So I don't know which one's which. Yeah, just plug it in and see how we go. Alright, so I'm just tricky trying to use. I don't quite have enough. Well, actually, I have no power splitters at the moment. They're on order. Trying to some kind of dodgy way of hooking all this up. Oh god! Alright. Technically, I haven't need any more splitters up until now. So on the other rig, I just made my own splitters. Nothing really to them. Just a splitter. Fans aren't interfering. Bit dodge, should be right. Alright, plug that in. Next one is so, like I've said before, the main reason I'm doing this is to reduce the hardware to one motherboard rather than two motherboards. What's the other one drawing? 494. That's not too bad. Alright, let's power this up. Hands are spinning. Windows. Waiting. There we go. So this card's actually pretty cool, I've decided. I was looking at buying a mining board, not Bitcoin, but they call them BTC mining or whatever, but even though you can't even mine Bitcoin anymore on GPUs, that's alright. Cancel startup script. Alright. But yeah, you just use these four-way things. If they're going to work, all the better. What do we got? Ooh. It's only showing 2 video cards on the onboard. That's the 3060 Ti. So I'll see what's happening in Device Manager. I know this four-way splitter saw one of the cards on the other board. What's this? It shows up the 1660 Ti, but not the Super. Huh. It's got a video controller, that might be it there actually. Scan for hardware. Oh, there we go. Yeah, it's just a bit slow installing the driver, it seems. And yeah. That's better. Sweet. Alright, just have to restart Afterburner because that won't pick up the changes. Yes. Look at that, all three showing up. Alright, I'm going to remote in and yeah, get these things hashing, and then I can see how much power I'm saving. So I was drawing about 815 to 835 before, just for reference. Alright, see you inside. Alright, so I went and set the overclocks up. That's all running now. And the power is down to 812 watts, down from, was it 835 before I did this, so yeah, so about 20-ish watts. It's jumping around a little bit, so 20 watts give or take. Bit less than I was hoping for, but hey, better than nothing. So yeah. No, there's probably no reason I can't just move this as it is into the new frame and carry on. Okay, now it's time to move all this hardware into my new mining frame I made recently. So she's all good. Oh, the only thing I'm going to do, I'm going to add a power switch. So I'm going to chew out a square right here somewhere. Red button for reset, and a blue LED for power, and a little, what do you call it? Oh, I forget what they're called. bezel thing majig. Alright, so let's get to it. I'm not going to record doing all this because it's intricately boring. So let's get started. Okay, so they're now soldered on. LED for power, power button, reset. Just soldered it onto some wires that already had the connectors on the end to connect to the main board. So now we drill some holes. Alright, nibbling tool for the cutting a square. Right there. Oh man. Alright, cut our holes, let's get them in. Okay, so they're installed now. Only thing is, they may not reach. They might be long enough, so that's alright. Just going to cable tie it along here and down here and get some extenders just to keep it all nice and tidy so I'm not stretching wires. Alright, let's get to work. Alright, before I start installing all this into the new frame, I'm going to pull the processor out of this. This is the new board I got off eBay, and it's got a i5 4590T. So it's 2-core, 4-thread. No, 3 point something gigahertz, but it's an energy efficient chip. It goes into these little mini computers here that I use as a security camera computer. And it's like a 35 watt chip or something, whereas the one in that is a, what is it? Celeron 1820, and it actually uses more power and it has less processing power than the chip in that. So we're just going to pull this processor out, clean it up, and then power off this board, swap the CPUs, and install it all into this frame. Let's get cracking. So this thermal material remover, I got it for free from work. One thing I've noticed, that it smells like orange. It smells suspiciously like this really great stuff that's good for removing sticky labels. So you can use sticky label remover or this stuff. I just use this stuff because it's free. A lot of people use alcohol, but this stuff kind of cleans it out a little bit better. Close that latch. Still got sticky. So clean up. Not bad stuff, kind of breaks it down. Kind of wondered if you could use this stuff to reuse your adhesive material, because it's not like alcohol where it kind of helps wiping it off. This stuff actually emulsifies the compound. See, look at that, it's like coming straight off. So what is it? It is a okay, focus on that. What's it doing? Can't zoom out in this mode. Anyway. Oh, this is the 4790K. Oh, it's on the other board, you dickhead. Oh well. Just taking the 4790K out. Maybe I should use that. Nah, if something weird happens, it's just going to chew up a heap of power. Yeah, oh well. That was a waste of time. Let's get the other board. Yeah, look at this. It's like a mini ITX board with one slot, which is really annoying. But has very low. I use this on my original game server actually. The reason being the board has a very small amount of power draw, standby power draw, compared to all the other boards I tried. So, oh, you win. Yeah, as I saw before, when I took the card off this, moved it across, it was only like 20-ish watts, give or take. Oh, look at that, it's a bit crusty. Scrape it off, jeez. Can't remember what I use. I use two types of thermal material. I use the Noctua NTH1 for anything that I want to last a long time, or something that's going to get a little bit hotter. What RAM is on that? Are those 8 or 4s? I don't know. Yeah, they may only be 4s. She didn't. Yeah, okay. Alright, let's get this thermal material off. Scrape it off first. So yeah, I use the NTH1 for all the high performance applications, if you want to call it that. And then I've got this other stuff, Cooler Master Gel Pro. I got it online. Some computer store was going bust, and they had it for it's like $10 for like 6 large, like 10-gram tubes of the stuff. So I just use that for everything else. So it's not terrible. It's better than the cheap crap you get from China, although probably not incredibly far off. It's probably all the same stuff to a degree. Alright, so what's this thing? This is a i5 4570T, 2.9 gigahertz. So yeah, same speed as the other one actually, but 2-core 4-thread and less power. The other one's a 65 watt processor. That's a 35. Alright, time to shut this thing down and give it a little processor upgrade and chuck it into the... what's the... mouse has stopped working. Man, everything's so temperamental. I'll just unplug it, plug it back in, and it'll work. What happens when you got one hand? Plug it back in. Surprise, surprise, starts working. Alright, close, close. And shut down. Alright, so we've got it mostly dismantled now. So we're just going to upgrade the... Okay, so we've got it mostly dismantled now to install into the frame. Just going to do this processor. So let's get started. Oh, yeah, that's pretty chunky. Let's get that out. What's that cleaning stuff? You might scrape it off again. Yeah, that's really thick. Not really matters, it's not high performance. But geez, it's... Might use I reckon this is the cheaper stuff that I used last time. Might use the more expensive stuff. Jeez, so noticeably thick. Oh, I just noticed this is one of the Intel coolers with a copper core. Most of them don't have that. I think this is probably from an i7, from a build at some point. Look at that, nice and shiny. You got this. What is it? Thermal surface purifier, but I find that doesn't really do anything. Should I use it? Yeah, what the hell. It gets a little bit off actually. Yeah, might as well do the that as well. See if it gets any more off. Yeah, it gets a little bit off. Yeah, it's pretty shiny now. Alright, let's install that into the board. Look for the old notches. Alright, some thermal paste. That's Noctua. Where's the other cheap crap? There you go. Master Gel Pro is the stuff I got really cheap. Probably off, that's why it's so chunky. So, I always use, if I do builds, high performance builds, I always use the Noctua heat sinks, CPU cores. And you always get a tube of this, so I've literally never run out. I think I bought one tube once ever. Yeah, it's better. It's a bit more watery. They dry up, they're no good. Alright, let's reset these clips. Oh, that's on my finger. What the hell? Let's wipe that off. Alright, reset the clips. So good. Chuck it in. This board is actually warped, I just noticed. Yeah, slightly warped. And that's from the stock heatsink fan. This thing's had nothing but a stock heatsink fan on it. Okay. Memory, 16 gig DDR3 1600. And I've added heat sinks to it. Used to be a gaming server where I used to overclock the RAM to squeeze as much out of it as I could. No longer. So I found 16 gigs really good on a mining computer. It just runs faster. You can run a node. You don't have to worry about running out of memory. I should actually concentrate on what I'm doing and not look at the camera, hey. Alright, just balance that dangerously there. Move the camera across. Alright, hopefully this all works. Everything lines up. I was pretty careful when I was just making the frame. It's not bad. have a look. I think. Which screws? Let's use these ones. I think it's the thicker thread ones. Let's use short ones, don't need long ones. Not like it's going to be in a ship or anything insane. I do. Alright, screwdriver. Tougher to get in. There we go. 1, 2, 3. Fourth hole doesn't quite line up, so I'm not going to worry about that. Too much more house than it's worth. You can actually move it. I can't be bothered. Oh, look at that. That might actually line up okay. Cool. I had it in my head they were back here, but I was thinking of my other board in the big rig under the desk. That's alright. Black and white is for power. Power LED. I'll just put them on now. Power button, purple grey. And reset. That's the bottom there. I was thinking of putting a bias clear button on it, but I don't clear the bias often enough to worry about it. There you go. Just chuck a cable tie. Put it up the front there. Okay. Cutters. Right there. Chuck another one there, why not? Alright, next up, what are we going to do? Probably power supply. Check this guy, unplug it. So plug that. And this is actually quite tricky doing all this with one hand. Power supply. That'd be good. Free up a lot of space on my desk to do other stuff. Alright, now I designed this. I realised I couldn't actually get the power supply in, so I made it so this top rail unscrews so I can drop it from the top instead of having rivets and a couple of screws. Reeling off. Now I've decided to have the vent inlet on the power supply and have it on the top. If I have it on the bottom, it's fighting for air with the CPU. It doesn't really matter. Like I said, it's not really high performance as far as the process is concerned. Hopefully the screw hole lines up. Oh yeah, beauty. So yes, how our power supply sits. A little gap, very tight gap there under the CPU, but it's perfectly fine. This is not exactly a high performance application. Let's get another screw. What should we get? Get one of the... Oh, we'll get a round headed screw. A couple of other bits and pieces in there might come in handy. Only one screw. It's not like it's going on a ship that's going to be bumped around constantly. It's in there pretty tight anyway. In between the rails was a pretty tight fit. Alright, chuck this top thing back on. Yeah, straightforward. So you got fan on the top blowing out to the rear. Too easy. Alright, what's next? We gotta... Oh, that's alright. I only used I reckon it's only a 64 gig. Yeah, it is. My first SSD actually, little 64 gig SanDisk. Had it in my netbook for years. Oh, the memories. No need to upgrade. Literally only runs a program that's like a couple of megabytes in size. Oh, I suppose you've got to have the virtual memory turned up. So yeah, I designed the chassis so you can have two SSDs. There's two screws on the bottom. You have one there, one there. Where do screws go? Screws. What do we got here? Now I need the thin ones. Yeah, it's really annoying. I really need to put this down, and usually I'd use a screwdriver that's magnetized to dig through here, but it's alright. Use that one, flat one, that'll do. And another. No, wrong type. Let's use that one. See if we can find a little bigger head on it so it bites that frame a bit better. There's one. Cool. Pretty basic mechanism to hold it. I would have liked to have actual holes, but there wasn't enough metal. But well, you can pick it up with that. That's in pretty tight. No problems. All right, let's chuck just a eagle in. Oh, is that even gonna fit? I hope so. Yeah, she's right. Look at that. Show the clips back. Oh, what's going on here? It's not fitting. Should fit. Maybe that's in the way. Pull that out. Shut down. It fit when I lined it up last. Force it. Yeah, she's alright. Screw holes line up. Actually had to cut a notch in the lower frame there to make it fit. Let's have a look. One of those, one of those, one of those. Just know it's getting really dark. Just gonna go turn the light on. Alright, that's a bit better. Let's actually see now. Two screw mounts on the top. Oh, I didn't think about that. Might actually have clearance. Yeah. Need to keep that in for the... Alright, lights on, screws are in. That plug there, that's for the so the remote desktop works properly. You can have that plugged in, or a display plugged in, it doesn't output, you just get a black screen. It's a bit of an annoying thing, which TeamViewer and the others don't do, but what do you do? It's a free ported Linux program apparently. Alright, now we got the how are we going to do this? Coming from the other side. Go, that fits in. No complaints from that one. Screw. Nice and tight, it's relatively thick alloy there. Alright, now we got these cables, I'm going to go wherever. I don't really have to follow a certain pattern. Alright, before I can't get into there, oh look at that. I don't know if you can see that, but the head is actually missing for the SATA. Let's make sure those pins don't touch each other. I might short out the controller. There you go. Where's the... oh, it's there. That's alright. Alright, got power. Start with the main board connector. Help if I tried putting it around the right way. It's nice and tight. There we go. She added this little bar here on the mining frame at the end so I can cable tie everything to that. Let's do that now while it's there. Yeah, it's one thing I noticed on my other mining frame. Oops. There was a big wad of cables dangling at the back. Looks a bit messy. But this one is a little bit more tidy. Check another one out. Cut them all off after. Alright, I'm gonna tangle of cables. What do we got here? Oh, CPU, forgot about that. That's gonna go down around. Put a cable tie on that. I usually like to cable tie these out of the way. It's only a 4-pin CPU header, so super high performance. It's probably why it's not a good idea to put something like a 4790K on here. Just no point. Alright, just keep that out of the way, we'll tidy that up after. That's good. Let's see what these are for. That's out of the way. PCI Express and PCI Express, they can go to the top. SATA, go under there. Put that one there. Okay. What have we got left? We've got a Molex and 2 PCI Express. And of course, it comes with the plugs for extra PCI Express cables, but it's not supplied with any, which is quite annoying. So we need an 8-pin for the 3060 Ti. So what are we going to do? We'll plug a Molex into one of those. These things got a Molex. Not ideal, but these things only draw 75 watts, so that's fine. Alongside an 8-pin connector as well. Alright. Let's put an 8-pin on that 3060. Oh, I actually got an email notification before saying that my cable splitters have arrived. Perfect timing, right when I need them. Except we can't get to them because they're on the other side of the city at work. Get me out of the way. Right. That doesn't work, it's in properly. Set that one there. Oh, look at that. I really need to go to the top. Pretty sure I don't have any. I could do something dodgy. I could temporarily, and by temporarily I mean for one day, use the Molex, 2 Molex down the bottom on the risers, and then put the 2 8-pins on the top from here and bridge them across. I'm just going to have to do that just for 24 hours until I get my splitters so I can do this a bit more effectively. Alright, need some more screws. What do we got here? 1, 2 will do for now. Shame I haven't got like something I can hold it up higher with. See if I can do this one-handed. Alright, so we've got different screws depending where I want to put the GPUs. Just put this camera down for a sec. Alright, so we got it sorted. So this EVGA is a little bit more to the left than it should be, but it doesn't matter. But she got one going into the top of the 3060, the other bit going into the riser. These two are jumpering across the top, which is fine, they're just a little bit close. And I'm using 1 Molex on this riser, which is not ideal, but yeah, they only draw 60, 70 watts, so it's alright. It's actually been like that. The TI, I think, has been running off that Molex for quite a while and it's not any issues. They use a thermal camera while it's running flat out just to make sure nothing's getting too hot. So yeah, I'm just going to cable tie this up and fire it up. Alright, so here we go. This is the temporary setup. So you've got to put the fans on, obviously. Tidy the cabling up a bit. I'll have to cut it all off when I redo it when the splitters arrive anyway. So yeah, let's fire him up. Let's see how it goes. At this point I know it's going to work as long as I miss anything, short anything. Chuck cable down there. Plug the video in. Alright, power. Use the right power plug so it's actually measuring the draw. Now it's possible I don't have that light in the right way around, so. Yep, light's always the wrong way around. Let's have a look. Okay, light doesn't want to work. Hang on, did it turn off? Power supply fan's on. Ethernet's not on. Why is that? No screen either. What's going on? Alright, I'm just going to put the phone down so I can properly get to this. Okay, all I did was press the power button. It's strange, the power supply fan was running and she's booting. So where was I going to connect the fan to? Oh, I think the header is like right in there. So, oh no, there it is. There's the header right there. That blue light. Right. Just booting up. Start up the Windows. And it's not gonna. I'm gonna manually start everything on this one. Where's the keyboard and mouse gone? Thrown over here. Yep, it's going to auto start the batch file, the stuff that doesn't even mine anymore. Yep, 10 seconds. Close. Alright. Let's get back to mining and get that crypto happening. Alright, that's the I need to tidy the software up a bit. It's all a bit ad hoc at the moment. Alright, while that's booting up, we're going to put a couple of fans on. So I'm going to put the phone down to do this. It's incredibly exciting, I imagine, watching a couple of fans go on. But I'll be back in a sec. I didn't think that out very well. The power buttons and the light interfere with the fan. Ah, shit. That's what you get for trying to rush things. Alright, I gotta sort this out. So that's all for today. So I gotta sort this fan situation out. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do there. Either extend it out, move it up across, maybe even move those somewhere else. We'll sort it out either way. So yeah, she'll up and working. I'll catch you later. So anyhow, that's all for now. Just got this fan situation to sort out. I'm not sure what I'm going to do there. I might even just move the power buttons and stuff. Maybe move the fans up. I don't know. We'll work something out. It's not a big deal. It's one fan more than it had before sitting on the desk in the open way like it was. So yeah, hope you enjoyed watching this content at some point. It's me building a rig and tinkering around. So catch you next video.